Captain Hyunwoo crouched behind a broken wall and looked through his binoculars. The city was dead. Smoke rose from buildings that once touched the clouds. The war between the Galactic Coalition and the Korvac Empire had turned this beautiful world into a wasteland. "Sir, we should head back," said Corporal Minho, checking his weapon. "This place gives me the creeps." Hyunwoo nodded but kept looking. His squad of 5 humans had been sent to check for survivors. So far, they had found nothing but empty buildings and broken dreams. The humans were new to this galactic war. Most alien species still thought they were too primitive to matter, but humans had proven they could fight when needed. "Movement ahead," whispered Sergeant Wu Jin from his position. "Looks like a crashed ship." The team moved forward carefully. The ship was big and made of some kind of silver metal that seemed to glow even in the dim light. Strange symbols covered its surface. This was definitely not human technology. "It's a Veltheran royal transport," said Dr. Su Jin, their team scientist. "See those crystal formations on the hull? Only their royalty gets ships like this." They found a hole in the ship's side and climbed in. The inside was even more beautiful than the outside. Everything was made of crystal and light. But now it was dark and cold. Bodies of alien guards lay scattered around, their blue skin turned gray in death. "Over here," called Taemin, their medic. He was kneeling beside someone who was still alive. Hyunwoo rushed over and saw the most beautiful creature he had ever seen. She looked like a human woman, but her skin was pale blue and seemed to glow from inside. Her hair was white like starlight and her eyes were the color of deep ocean water. She wore robes that sparkled like the night sky. "She's dying," Taemin said, running his medical scanner over her body. "Some kind of poison. Her whole system is shutting down." The alien woman opened her eyes and looked at Hyunwoo. When she spoke, her voice was like music, but he could somehow understand her words. "Human warriors," she whispered. "I am Princess Nari of Velthara. The Korvacs. They used a bioweapon, designed specifically for my people. We'll get you help," Hyunwoo said, though he had no idea how. The nearest medical facility was days away. Nari shook her head weakly. "No time. The poison works fast, but I must tell you something important. The Korvacs plan to destroy your Earth. They have a planet-killer weapon. I was coming to warn the Coalition when they attacked me." Hyunwoo felt his blood turn cold. Earth. His home. His family lived there. Taemin worked frantically with his equipment. "The poison is unlike anything I've seen. It's designed to attack Veltheran biology at the cellular level. Nothing I have can stop it." "How long does she have?" Hyunwoo asked. "Maybe 2 hours, probably less." Princess Nari grabbed Hyunwoo's hand with surprising strength. "You must warn them. The Coalition won't believe you alone, but if I live to testify, then we'll make sure you live," Hyunwoo said firmly. But even as he said it, he could see her getting weaker. Her beautiful blue skin was getting paler and her breathing was shallow. "Sir," Taemin said quietly, "I have an idea, but it's crazy and dangerous. Tell me. Human blood is different from any other species. We adapt to things that would kill others. Our immune systems are incredibly flexible. Maybe if we gave her human blood, it might help her body fight the poison." Dr. Su Jin looked shocked. "That's impossible. Human and Veltheran biology are completely different. A transfusion would kill them both." "She's dying anyway," Hyunwoo said. He looked at the princess, who was listening with fading hope in her eyes. "What do you think? Are you willing to try?" Nari nodded weakly. "If it might save my people and yours, yes." "Sir, you can't," Minho protested. "We don't know what will happen." "I know what will happen if we do nothing," Hyunwoo replied. He rolled up his sleeve. "Do it, Taemin." The medic's hand shook as he set up the transfusion equipment. "This goes against everything I learned in medical school." "Sometimes the books are wrong," Hyunwoo said. As his blood began to flow into the alien princess, Hyunwoo felt a strange, tingling sensation. It started in his arm but quickly spread through his whole body. Nari gasped and her eyes went wide. "Something's happening," she whispered. But instead of fear, There was wonder in her voice. The others watched in amazement, as color began to return to Nari's skin. But it wasn't just her normal blue. There were flecks of pink now, as if human blood was mixing with her alien physiology in impossible ways. Hyunwoo felt dizzy, but not from blood loss. His vision seemed sharper somehow. He could sense things he had never noticed before. The electromagnetic fields from the ship's systems, the faint psychic emanations from Nari's mind. This shouldn't be possible, Dr. Sujin muttered, watching her scanners go crazy with readings she had never seen before. As the transfusion continued, both human and alien began to change. Nari's breathing became stronger, and the deadly pallor left her face. But more than that, her eyes began to glow with new intelligence and power. Hyunwoo felt his own mind expanding. Suddenly he could understand the Veltheron writing on the walls. He could sense the ship's systems and how they worked. Most shocking of all, he could feel Nari's thoughts touching his own. "It's working," Taemin said in disbelief. "Her vital signs are stabilizing." When the transfusion was complete, both Hyunwoo and Nari lay still for a moment, processing what had happened to them. Then Nari sat up, moving with grace and strength that should have been impossible for someone who had been dying minutes before. "I can feel it," she said, looking at her hands in wonder. "Your human adaptability. It's teaching my body new ways to survive and grow." Hyunwoo sat up too, his head spinning with new sensations and knowledge. "And I can feel your psychic abilities, awakening something in me." The rest of the squad stared in shock. They had just witnessed something that would change everything they knew about humans and their place in the galaxy. But outside, unknown to them, Korvac ships were already moving toward this world, determined to finish what they had started. 3 days had passed since the blood transfusion and everything had changed. Princess Nari stood in the human camp, her eyes closed in concentration. Around her, broken Veltharan crystal technology began to glow and repair itself. But more amazing than that, she was also working with human computers and weapons, understanding them as if she had built them herself. "This is impossible," Dr. Sujin said for the 100th time. She stared at her medical readings in complete confusion. "According to every law of biology I know, both of you should be dead." Captain Hyunwoo was experiencing his own impossible changes. He could now sense the emotions and thoughts of people around him. When he touched the repaired Veltharan crystals, he understood how they worked. His reflexes had become so fast that he could dodge bullets. His mind processed tactical situations in ways that amazed even himself. "I think I understand what happened," Nari said, opening her eyes. The glow in them had become permanent now, shifting between blue and brown depending on her mood. "Human blood didn't just save me from the poison. It taught my body how to adapt. And your psychic abilities awakened something in human DNA that was always there," Hyunwoo added. He could feel her thoughts in his mind, not intrusive but present, like a warm hand on his shoulder. Taemin checked them both again with his medical equipment. "Your cellular structure is completely different now. Nari, you have human adaptability built into your Veltharan biology. Hyunwoo, you have psychic pathways that no human has ever shown before." "But what does this mean?" asked Sergeant Woojin. "Are you still human? Is she still Veltharan?" "We're both," Nari answered. "And we're something new." The implications were staggering. If humans could safely symbiosis with other alien species, it would change everything about how the galaxy worked. No longer would species be limited by their original biology, but their wonder was interrupted by urgent signals from their communication equipment. Commander Jinei's face appeared on the screen, looking worried. "Hyunwoo, we've got problems. Big problems. The Galactic Council has heard about what happened to you and the princess. They're scared." "Scared of what?" Hyunwoo asked. "Of humans becoming too powerful. Admiral Kiran of the Zentari is demanding that you both be contained for study. He says humans are too dangerous to be left free in the galaxy." Nari stepped forward. "Commander, I must speak to the Council. The Korvacs are planning to destroy Earth. I have the proof." "That's the other problem," Jin'e said grimly. "The Council doesn't believe you. They think the blood transfusion has damaged your mind. Admiral Kieran says Veltharans are known for their honesty, but humans are known for their tricks. He believes Hyunwoo has somehow influenced your thoughts." Hyunwoo felt anger rise in his chest. Through his connection with Nari, he could feel her frustration too. They were trying to save lives, and the galaxy's leaders thought it was some kind of human trick. "There's more," Jin'e continued. "Long-range sensors have detected a massive Korvac fleet moving toward Velthara. They're coming to finish what they started." "How many ships?" asked Minho. "Over 300. We have 12 human ships, and whatever Veltharan vessels survived the first attack. Maybe 20 ships total. The numbers were impossible. Even with their new abilities, how could they fight such a force? But Nari had an idea. Hyunwoo, through our connection, I can boost your psychic abilities, and you can enhance my understanding of human tactics. Together, we might be able to do something no one expects. What do you have in mind?" She smiled, and in that moment, she looked both alien and completely human. "We're going to show the galaxy what happens when two species truly work together." Over the next few hours, they worked together in ways that amazed everyone who watched. Nari's psychic abilities, enhanced by human adaptability, could now interface with any technology in ways her species had never achieved. She could make Veltharan crystals work with human computers, creating hybrid systems that were more powerful than either technology alone. Hyunwoo found that his tactical thinking had expanded beyond anything he had experienced before. He could see patterns in space battles that seemed random to others. When he combined his human intuition with Nari's psychic foresight, they could predict enemy moves with uncanny accuracy. But their greatest discovery came by accident. While working together to repair a damaged communication array, they found they could share consciousness completely. For brief moments, Hyunwoo became Nari, and she became him. In those moments, they were neither human nor Veltharan, but something entirely new. This is what the Council fears, Dr. Sujin realized. Not that humans will become too powerful, but that the old boundaries between species will disappear. As they prepared for the coming battle, word of their transformation spread through underground channels to humans scattered across the galaxy. On distant mining colonies and space stations, humans began to report strange dreams and new abilities. Engineer Boram on Titan Station found she could communicate with the station's AI in ways that shouldn't be possible. Pilot Yun discovered she could navigate hyperspace routes that veteran alien pilots called suicide runs. Farmer Dongmin on an agricultural world realized he could sense the needs of alien crops and help them grow in impossible conditions. Something was awakening in humanity, and it was spreading. But the Korvacs had heard these rumors too. War Master Vorthak, the brutal leader of their invasion fleet, saw the human Veltharan symbiosis as a threat that had to be destroyed before it could spread. "Prepare the planet killer," he ordered his subordinates. "We will not just conquer this world, we will sterilize it. No trace of this abomination will survive." As the massive Korvac fleet approached Velthara, Hyunwoo and Nari stood together on a hillside overlooking their small defensive force. 20 ships against 300. It should have been hopeless. But through their shared consciousness, they could feel something stirring across the galaxy. Humanity was awakening, and when humans awakened, they had a habit of doing impossible things. "Are you ready?" Nari asked, taking Hyunwoo's hand. He squeezed her fingers gently. "Let's show them what we can do." The battle for Velthara was about to begin. The Galactic Council chamber buzzed with tension as Admiral Kieran of the Zentari stood before the assembled representatives. His tall, gray form radiated authority as he spoke in his cold, mechanical voice. "The human contamination must be contained," he declared. "They have corrupted a Veltharan princess with their primitive biology. This symbiosis threatens the natural order of species throughout the galaxy." Ambassador Giwan, the human representative, stood to respond. He was older than most humans in space, with gray hair and kind eyes, but his voice was strong. "Admiral Kieran, you speak of contamination. I speak of evolution. Princess Nari was dying. Captain Hyunwoo saved her life. At what cost? Kieran demanded. Reports indicate both subjects now display abilities beyond their original species. This is unnatural, dangerous. In the observation gallery, Princess Nari watched the debate with growing frustration. She had come to testify about the Korvac threat. But instead, the council was arguing about whether she was still sane enough to be trusted. Through her mental connection with Hyunwoo, who stood beside her, she could feel his anger too. They had proof of the planet-killer weapon. They had evidence of the planned attack on Earth. But the council was more concerned with their fear of change than with saving lives. Honored Council, Nari said, standing up. Her voice carried clearly through the chamber, enhanced by her new psychic abilities. I request permission to demonstrate the benefits of human Veltharan symbiosis. Admiral Kieran's 4 eyes narrowed. You are not recognized to speak, contaminated one. The insult hit Nari like a physical blow, but Hyunwoo's steady presence in her mind helped her stay calm. I am still Princess Nari of Velthara. I still speak for my people. And my people are dying while you debate. She moved to the center of the chamber where a complex Zentari computer system sat broken and unused. The Zentari had tried for months to repair it, but its quantum circuits were too damaged. Watch and learn, Nari said. She placed her hands on the machine. Her enhanced psychic abilities, boosted by human adaptability, interfaced with the quantum circuits. But more than that, she understood the machine's human-made components as if she had designed them herself. In minutes, she had the system running better than when it was new. Gasps echoed through the chamber. The Zentari computer hadn't just been repaired, it had been improved beyond its original specifications. Impossible, Admiral Kieran said, but his voice carried less certainty than before. Meanwhile, 3 star systems away, the Korvac invasion fleet approached Velthara. War Master Vorthak stood on the bridge of his flagship, a massive dreadnought called Death's Hand. His red eyes gleamed with anticipation. Status report. He growled to his lieutenant. We will reach Velthara in 6 hours, War Master. The planet-killer weapon is charged and ready. Good. This human Veltharan abomination will be the first to burn. Then we will use the same weapon on Earth. 2 threats eliminated with 1 strike. But Vorthak didn't know that his communications were being monitored. On Velthara, Hyunwoo and his team had been using their hybrid technology to intercept Korvac transmissions. When they heard about the planet killer, they knew they had to act fast. Commander Jin-A, Hyunwoo called on his radio. We have a problem. The Korvacs aren't just coming to invade. They're bringing a planet killer weapon. Jin-A's voice crackled back, tense with worry. How long do we have? 6 hours, maybe less. That's not enough time to evacuate. And even if we could, they'd just use it on Earth next. Through his connection with Nari, Hyunwoo could feel her distress as she watched the council continue to argue. They were running out of time, and the people who were supposed to protect the galaxy were more interested in politics than in saving lives. But then something unexpected happened. Reports began coming in from across the galaxy of humans displaying impossible abilities. These weren't just rumors anymore, they were confirmed sightings with video evidence. On the mining colony of Kepler 442, Corporal Min Ho had been stationed as a security guard. Suddenly, he found he could communicate with the silicon-based Krellian miners in ways that had never been possible before. The miners, who had been on strike for months, returned to work after Min Ho helped them understand human needs while teaching the humans to respect Krellian culture. Engineer Boram on Titan Station made an even bigger breakthrough. She had been trying to repair a critical AI system when suddenly she could interface with it directly through thought. The AI, which had been malfunctioning for weeks, began working better than ever. But more than that, it began to think in new ways, combining AI logic with human intuition. Pilot Da-Yun, flying a supply run through dangerous space, found herself navigating by instinct through asteroid fields that should have been impossible to cross. Her human intuition, somehow enhanced, could predict the movement of space debris and find paths that existed only for seconds. All across the galaxy, humans were awakening to abilities they had never known they possessed. And it was all connected, somehow, to what had happened between Yunwu and Nari. Dr. Sujin, monitoring these reports from Velthara, made a startling discovery. The blood transfusion didn't just change them, she told Taemin. It sent some kind of signal through human DNA across the galaxy, like it activated sleeping genes in our entire species. Back in the council chamber, Admiral Kiran was beginning to realize the scope of what was happening. These reports, he said, his voice tight with fear. Humans across the galaxy are changing. This is spreading. Ambassador Giwan nodded calmly. Yes, it is. And every human who awakens to these new abilities also awakens to a deeper understanding of other species. We're becoming bridges between different forms of life. You're becoming too powerful, Kiran accused. No, Princess Nari said, her voice carrying new authority. We're becoming what the galaxy needs. Humans don't seek to dominate other species. They seek to understand them, to help them reach their potential. The symbiosis doesn't make humans more powerful. It makes everyone more than they were before. As if to prove her point, she reached out psychically to some of the alien representatives in the chamber. Through her enhanced abilities, she helped them see past their old fears and prejudices. For the first time in centuries, natural enemies began to consider the possibility of cooperation. But time was running out. The Korvac fleet was only 4 hours away, and they carried a weapon that could destroy entire worlds. Hyunwoo made a decision that would change everything. Using the Council's communication system, boosted by Nari's psychic abilities, he sent out a message to every awakened human in the galaxy. This is Captain Hyunwoo to all humans receiving this transmission. Our homeworld is in danger. The Sato, Korvac Empire is bringing a planet-killer weapon to destroy Earth. But we are not helpless. We have awakened to abilities our species has always carried. Now it's time to use them. The response was immediate and overwhelming. From mining colonies to space stations, from diplomatic posts to cargo ships, humans across the galaxy began moving toward Velthara. They couldn't all arrive in time for the battle, but they would come. And as they traveled, they brought with them alien allies who had been touched by the human ability to see potential in others. The battle for Velthara would not be 20 ships against 300. It would be something the galaxy had never seen before, a true alliance of species working together as one. War Master Vorthak was about to learn what happened when humanity stopped playing by the old rules. The Korvac fleet dropped out of hyperspace like a swarm of deadly insects. 300 ships, each one bristling with weapons designed to kill and destroy. At the center of the formation, the planet-killer weapon looked like a massive metal moon. Its surface covered with energy collectors that could focus enough power to crack a world in half. War Master Vorthak stood on his command bridge, looking down at the small planet below. Begin the bombardment, he ordered. I want every human ship destroyed before we fire the planet killer. But as the Korvac ships moved into attack formation, something unexpected happened. Ships began appearing all around them. Not just human vessels, but alien ships from dozens of different species. They materialized from hyperspace in coordinated groups, as if they had been planning this moment for years instead of hours. Sir, Vorthak's tactical officer reported, his voice shaking. We're reading over 200 ships, humans, Veltarans, Zentari, even some Krellian mining vessels. How is this possible? Down on Velthara, Captain Hyunwoo stood in the command center they had hastily built from human technology and Veltharan crystals. Through his mental connection with Princess Nari, he could see the entire battle space as if he were floating above it. Their combined consciousness allowed them to coordinate the defending fleet with precision that amazed even veteran space commanders. Engineering reports from Titan Station, announced Taemin, who was managing communications. Boram has somehow networked all the human ships together. They're sharing tactical data faster than any AI system we've ever seen. That was the key to what was happening. Boram, the engineer who had learned to interface with AI systems, had done something impossible. She had created a mental network that connected every awakened human in the fleet. Through this network, enhanced by Nari's psychic abilities, Hundreds of separate ships began to fight as one coordinated force. Korvac ships are moving to attack the mining vessels, reported Sergeant Wu Jin from his position at the tactical board. They think they're easy targets. Hyunwoo smiled grimly. They're about to learn otherwise. The Krellian mining ships, big and slow, looked helpless against the fast Korvac fighters, but Corporal Min Ho, who had learned to communicate with the Krellians, had helped them prepare for this moment. The mining ships suddenly revealed hidden weapons, not standard military equipment, but mining tools modified by human ingenuity and Krellian engineering skill. Asteroid crushers became ship killers. Ore refiners became shield generators. The slow mining vessels, working together with human tactics and alien engineering, began destroying Korvac fighters faster than anyone thought possible. This is impossible, War Master Vorthak snarled. How are these primitive species coordinating so effectively? His answer came from an unexpected source. Admiral Kiran's Zentari flagship appeared on the battlefield, but instead of staying neutral as expected, it moved to support the human-led alliance. War Master Vorthak. Kiran's voice came over the communication channel. I am Admiral Kiran of the Zentari Defense Fleet. You are ordered to withdraw immediately. Zentari dog, Vorthak replied. Your species has been neutral in this war. Why? Do you interfere now? Because a human named Hyunwoo has shown me something I never understood before, Kiran answered. The strength of diversity. My ships will fight alongside theirs. But even with these reinforcements, the Alliance fleet was still outnumbered. The Korvac planet killer began charging its main weapon, energy collectors focusing power that could destroy entire worlds. That's when pilot Daun made her move. She had been flying reconnaissance missions around the Korvac fleet, using her enhanced navigation abilities to move through space in ways that should have been impossible. Now she put those skills to a desperate test. Command, this is Daun, she called over the communication network. I'm going to try something crazy. Daun, wait, Hyunwoo called back, but she was already moving. Her small fighter ship began diving directly toward the planet killer weapon. Korvac fighters moved to intercept her, but Daun flew like no human had ever flown before. She slipped between their shots, twisted through impossible turns, and somehow stayed ahead of their targeting systems. She's trying to reach the weapon's main power core, Nari realized, her psychic abilities tracking Daun's intent. But it's suicide. No single ship can penetrate those defenses. She's not going alone, Hyunwoo said. Across the battle, every awakened human felt the same thought at the same moment. They began converging on the planet killer from all directions, their ships moving in perfect coordination despite having no time to plan. Sergeant So Young, commanding a medical transport, suddenly turned her ship toward the massive weapon. Medical ships aren't supposed to fight, she said over the comm. But today we fight to save lives. Engineer Jin Woo, aboard a cargo hauler, armed his industrial equipment and joined the desperate assault. For Earth, he said simply. One by one, human ships broke from the main battle and dove toward the planet killer. They came from every direction, flying in patterns that confused the Korvac defenders. Some were destroyed by the massive defensive guns, but others slipped through, guided by their enhanced intuition and their connection to each other. War Master Vorthak watched in growing horror as the humans pressed their attack. Fire the weapon, he screamed. Fire it now, before they reach the core. But the planet killer needed 3 more minutes to fully charge, and Daun had found a way in. Her fighter ship, damaged but still flying, slipped through the weapon's outer defenses. Behind her came a dozen other human vessels, each one piloted by someone who had awakened to abilities they never knew they possessed. This is for everyone who believes in a better galaxy, Daun said. Arming every weapon her small ship carried, the human ship struck the planet killer's core simultaneously. The explosion was visible from 1,000 miles away, a brilliant flash that lit up the entire battle space. When the light faded, the planet killer was gone, and with it, Daun and the other heroes who had given their lives to save 2 worlds. The loss hit every human in the fleet like a physical blow. Through their mental network, they all felt the sacrifice, but instead of breaking them, it made them stronger. For our fallen, Hyunwoo said, his voice carrying to every ship in the Alliance fleet. For our fallen, they responded as one. The tide of battle turned. Human intuition, alien technology, and shared sacrifice combined in ways the Korvac Empire had never faced before. Ships that should have been destroyed found ways to survive. Tactics that should have failed succeeded through impossible coordination. War Master Vorthak, watching his fleet being systematically dismantled by an alliance that shouldn't exist, finally understood what he was facing. This wasn't just a military force. It was evolution in action. All ships, he ordered, his voice defeated. Begin withdrawal. But some of his captains refused the order. They had seen too much, lost too much, to simply retreat. The battle continued, but now it was a different kind of fight. Not between species, but between those who embraced change and those who feared it. As the Korvac fleet scattered and fled, something remarkable happened. Several Korvac ships, their crews having witnessed the power of cooperation over conquest, requested permission to defect. "This is Captain Thurak of the Iron Claw," came a transmission to the Alliance fleet. "We have seen enough death. Will you accept us as allies?" The question went to Hyunwoo and Nari, whose combined judgment had become the heart of the Alliance's decision-making process. "All who seek peace are welcome," Nari replied. The battle was won, but the victory came at a terrible cost. Good people had died to save worlds they had never seen. The awakened humans felt every loss, but they also felt something else, the knowledge that they had changed the galaxy forever. As rescue ships moved to help the damaged vessels, Hyunwoo looked out at the stars and felt the presence of awakened humans scattered across the galaxy. The network that connected them was growing stronger, reaching out to touch other species and help them discover their own hidden potential. The war was far from over, but for the first time, there was real hope for peace. 6 months after the Battle of Velthara, the galaxy had changed in ways no one could have predicted. The Symbiosis Institute, built on a neutral world between human and Veltharan space, had become the most important place in known space. Captain, Hyunwoo walked through the Institute's halls marveling at what they had created. Human engineers worked alongside Zentari technicians to build machines that neither species could have imagined alone. Krellian miners taught human students how to hear the songs of living crystals, while humans showed the silicon-based beings how to adapt and change in ways they had never thought possible. Princess Nari met him in the central garden, where plants from 100 different worlds grew together in impossible harmony. Her appearance had stabilized over the months. She looked like both human and Veltharan, with blue-tinted skin that could shift to human pink when she was happy or excited. "The council meeting went well," she reported, taking his hand. Their connection had grown deeper over time, allowing them to share thoughts and emotions without losing their individual identities. "Ambassador Giwan has convinced 12 more species to join the Symbiosis program." The program had started as an experiment but had grown into something that was reshaping galactic civilization. Species that had been enemies for thousands of years were learning to work together through human-mediated understanding. It wasn't that humans were superior, they were catalysts, helping others discover abilities and perspectives they had always possessed but never accessed. "Any word from the Korvac territories?" Hyunwoo asked. Nari smiled. "Better than we hoped. War Master Vorthak has been removed from power by his own people. They've chosen a new leader, someone who was present at the battle and saw what cooperation could achieve." The news was better than they had dared hope. The Korvac Empire, built on conquest and domination, was slowly transforming from within. Korvac soldiers who had fought alongside the Alliance were returning home with new ideas about strength and honor. Dr. Su Jin approached them, carrying a data pad with the latest research results. She had become the leading expert on human-alien symbiosis, studying how the process worked and making it safer for others to attempt. "We've had another successful symbiosis," she reported. "A Zentari scientist and a human medic. The results are remarkable. They can heal injuries that neither species could treat alone." "Any side effects?" Hyunwoo asked. The early attempts had been dangerous, with some participants experiencing psychological problems as they adapted. to hybrid consciousness? None so far. We're getting better at matching compatible personalities and biology. The key seems to be willing cooperation rather than desperate need. That had been the breakthrough that made the symbiosis program possible. The original transfusion between Hyunwoo and Nari had worked because both had been willing to risk everything to save lives. When they tried to force the process or use it for selfish reasons, it failed. Commander Jin-ae joined them, looking tired but happy. She had been promoted to admiral after the battle and now oversaw the combined human-alien fleet that protected the Institute and its work. "Status report from the outer systems," she announced. "The awakened human network is still growing. We now have confirmed symbiosis pairs in 47 star systems." The network had been their greatest surprise. The blood transfusion hadn't just changed Hyunwoo and Nari. It had sent ripples through human DNA across the galaxy, awakening dormant abilities in thousands of people. These awakened humans could form symbiotic bonds with other species, much more easily than normal humans could, but it wasn't a one-way process. As humans helped other species evolve, they were changed in return. Each new symbiosis taught them something different about consciousness, biology, and the possibilities of life itself. "Speaking of the network," Taemin said, approaching with his own report. He had become the Institute's chief medical officer and was responsible for monitoring the health of all symbiosis pairs. "We've detected something interesting. The awakened humans are starting to have children." "That's wonderful," Nari said. "But why is it interesting medically?" "Because the children are being born with abilities that bridge multiple species. They're not human or alien. They're something entirely new." This was the development they had both hoped for and feared. If the children of symbiosis pairs were naturally gifted with interspecies abilities, it meant the change was permanent. Humanity, and their alien partners, were evolving into something the galaxy had never seen before. "Have there been any problems?" Hyunwoo asked. Taemin shook his head. "The opposite, actually. The children seem healthier and more adaptable than pure species offspring. They're also incredibly empathetic. They seem to understand all forms of life instinctively." As they talked, a communication came in from the Galactic Council. Admiral Kieran's image appeared on the holographic display, but he looked very different from the cold, authoritarian figure he had been before his own symbiosis. "With a human diplomat, Hyunwoo Nari," he greeted them warmly. "I have news from the council session. The symbiosis accords have been approved by a vote of 847 to 23. The accords were a set of laws and principles governing interspecies cooperation and symbiosis. They established rights for hybrid individuals and created frameworks for peaceful species integration. Most importantly, they formally recognized that evolution through cooperation was not just acceptable, it was the galaxy's best hope for the future." "What about the 23 who voted against?" Nari asked. "Mostly species that are afraid of losing their purity," Kieran replied. "But even they are starting to change their minds as they see the benefits of cooperation. Fear is hard to maintain when you're watching former enemies work together to solve problems that have plagued the galaxy for millennia." The conversation was interrupted by excited shouting from one of the Institute's laboratories. Boram, the engineer who had created the human network during the battle, came running with incredible news. "We've done it," she announced. "We've successfully established communication with the Andromedans." Everyone stopped talking. The Andromedans were a mysterious species from another galaxy entirely. They had visited the Milky Way centuries ago, but had been impossible to communicate with. Their minds worked in ways no one could understand. "How?" Dr. Sujin asked. "A three-way symbiosis," Boram explained excitedly. "A human, a Veltharan, and a Zentari working together. Their combined consciousness was complex enough to make contact with Andromedan thought patterns. This was bigger than anything they had achieved before. If they could communicate with species from other galaxies, the possibilities were unlimited. But the most important moment came later that day, when Hyunwoo and Nari were alone together, watching the sunset from the Institute's observation deck. The sun of this world cast purple light that made everything look magical. Do you ever regret it? Nari asked. Giving up your original humanity to become something new? Hyunwoo considered the question seriously. He was no longer fully human, just as she was no longer fully Veltharan. They were something unique, something that hadn't existed before their desperate gamble in a crashed ship. I don't think I gave up my humanity, he said finally. I think I discovered what humanity really means. We're not defined by our biology or our limitations. We're defined by our willingness to help others become more than they thought possible. Nari smiled and squeezed his hand. The children will understand this better than we do. For them, cooperation across species will be natural. They'll see barriers we can't even imagine crossing. As if summoned by their thoughts, a group of the Institute's children came running past, a mix of species and hybrids playing together without any awareness of the differences that had once divided the galaxy. A young human Veltharan girl was teaching a Krelian child how to sing to crystals, while a Zentari human boy helped a pure species Korvac child understand a complex equation. Look at them, Hyunwoo said. They don't see enemies or allies. They just see friends with different gifts to share. The galaxy's future, Nari agreed. In the months that followed, the changes accelerated. The network of awakened humans continued to grow, reaching into every corner of known space. New symbiosis pairs formed regularly, each one adding to the galaxy's growing understanding of what was possible when species worked together. The wars didn't end immediately. There were still those who preferred conquest to cooperation, who saw change as a threat rather than an opportunity. But they found themselves increasingly outnumbered by those who had experienced the benefits of interspecies partnership. 1 year after the Battle of Velthara, the first child was born to Hyunwoo and Nari. She was tiny and perfect, with skin that shifted from blue to pink depending on her mood and eyes that seemed to hold the wisdom of both species. They named her Jimin, which meant wisdom and beauty in Korean and new hope in Veltharan. As Hyunwoo held his daughter for the first time, feeling her hybrid consciousness touch his mind with pure love and acceptance, he understood that this was just the beginning. Jimin and children like her would grow up in a galaxy where cooperation was natural, where the boundaries between species were fluid and permeable. They would face challenges he couldn't imagine and solve problems in ways he would never understand. But they would do it together.